This is the proper way to wield a Gatling gun. One swift blow, and even Varmint is left bewildered for a moment. It turns out that just recently, Dawn, under the influence of Zombie's super virus modification, not only experienced a significant surge in combat prowess but also gained an undying body similar to Varmint's. Witnessing this spectacle, the two presidents present wish nothing more than to flee home to their mothers. However, the two combatants in the arena seem to grow more invigorated with each clash. Dawn, wearing a wicked grin, roars, "Impressive, isn't it? Today, I am feeling generous, I shall accompany you to the bitter end." Upon hearing these words, Varmint is left dumbfounded. What is going on? It seems that Dawn appears even more like a zombie than he does. Zombie, who is observing from the rooftop, never expected Dawn's potential to be so immense after undergoing genetic mutation. Yet, her entire skeleton has been shattered, and the pain from being bisected earlier is all too real. The battle must be concluded quickly. Varmint, since you refuse to stay home, do not blame me for using Dawn's hand to thrash you. With Zombie's deliberate manipulation, Dawn's latent potential is once more ignited. In an instant, she appears before Varmint. A thunderous boom resounds as Dawn's fist connects with Varmint's face, sending him flying dozens of meters away. Just then, Dawn reappears behind him and mercilessly smashes the butt of her gun into Varmint's forehead. As the dust settles from the echoing bang, Varmint crawls from the pit only to be met by Dawn in a relentless barrage of blows. At this point, Varmint has no ability to fight back. Anticipating yet another combination attack, he hastily surrenders, promising to return home immediately and never venture out again. Upon hearing this, Zombie's face contorts with embarrassment, while the bespectacled man observing from the control room is equally baffled. Suddenly, Dawn drops her machine gun, and her tense demeanor vanishes in an instant. Seizing this opportunity, Varmint springs from the pit and lands a surprise punch on Dawn's face. Witnessing this, Zombie exclaims in exasperation, "Dawn, what are you doing? You actually believed his lies. Moreover, the moment you let down your guard, you revert to your original state." Dawn, filled with regret, did not anticipate her heightened state to dissipate so easily. Varmint, now brimming with arrogance, sneers, "So, you took some stimulants. Now that their effects have worn off, I'd like to see how you meet your end." Zombie, rendered speechless by the scene, realizes that he must take matters into his own hands. The bespectacled man observing from the shadows is thrilled, exclaiming, "This zombie is incredibly powerful, even resorting to sneak attacks." He excitedly manipulates his keyboard, intending to have Varmint eliminate them all. As Varmint closes in, just before he can finish off Dawn and the others, the bespectacled man notices another person appearing on the street. Varmint halts his actions as he spots Zombie approaching. Just as the bespectacled man anticipates another thrilling showdown, Varmint begins to stammer, unable to articulate a single word. Zombie, with a dark expression, shouts, "Varmint, didn't I tell you to stay home? What are you doing here?" At these words, everyone present is taken aback. Inside the control room, the bespectacled man is equally astonished, as no matter how he tries to control Varmint, he remains unresponsive. With Zombie's arrival, Varmint's consciousness is instantaneously pulled back to their first encounter centuries ago. Back then, he had assumed Zombie to be a mere fledgling zombie, never expecting that in just a few short years, Zombie would become the supreme leader of the undead realm. The scene returns to the present, where Dawn and the others struggle to comprehend the sight before them. Moments ago, Varmint was brimming with arrogance, but now, he is paralyzed with fear. Upon witnessing this scene, the bespectacled man's face was a picture of disbelief. Without hesitation, he frantically pressed buttons on the control panel, attempting to manipulate Varmint further. However, as Zombie steadily approached, Varmint was so frightened that he dared not even breathe. In a fleeting moment, Varmint's thoughts drifted back to a summer several centuries ago. At that time, he had reigned as the Zombie King, dominating his corner of the world. Yet, when the self-proclaimed zombie appeared, Varmint initially dismissed him as an ordinary zombie. Within the next moment, Zombie had grasped Varmint's mouth, declaring, "From now on, you are my subordinate. Any objections?" Hearing this, Varmint hastily nodded in agreement. Fast forwarding to the present, Varmint remained utterly motionless. Infuriated, the bespectacled man cursed, "You possess an immortal body. What on earth are you afraid of?" Little did he know, Varmint had once been dismembered and hung from a tree as cured meat for centuries as punishment for his disobedience to Zombie. Thus, regardless of the bespectacled man's efforts to control Varmint, his body instinctively resisted. At that moment, the computer controlling the zombies exploded under the bespectacled man's furious button mashing, and Varmint, terrified, fled the scene. The bespectacled man stood dumbfounded, while nearby onlookers were equally baffled. As for Zombie himself, he was utterly perplexed, wondering, does Varmint truly fear me that much? Seeing his plan foiled by Zombie, the bespectacled man seethed with rage. However, as he prepared to continue, a large hand suddenly landed on his shoulder. "Let it go," the voice said, "these zombies were merely an appetizer. The real show is just beginning." As the words faded, several armed helicopters appeared high above in the sky. It was the president of the Beyonders Academy and his associates who had arrived. Lan Chi asked the traitor, "Tell me, is your brother Fei hiding below?" "Yes, they're concealed 1,000 meters underground, spanning an area of over 10,000 square meters," the traitor replied. Lan Chi was momentarily taken aback. How on earth are we supposed to search such a vast underground space? Before she could finish, the president of the Stainless Steel Academy unsheathed his sword, proclaiming, "Just watch my performance." With that, he launched himself from the helicopter like a speeding arrow. Witnessing this, Lan Chi could not help but comment sarcastically, "You truly are a reckless man." Unfazed, the Stainless Steel Academy president advanced, brandishing his sword haphazardly. In the next instant, he executed a spiraling descent toward the ground. Within moments, a thunderous boom echoed from the earth below. Incredibly, in just a few short breaths, the Stainless Steel Academy president had created a massive, 100-meter-deep crater in the ground. Rendered speechless, Lan Chi thought, "He's quite the oaf." Then, she turned to the Grand President and voiced her concern, "With such a commotion, what if there are traps below?" The Grand President, however, remained nonchalant, asserting that in the face of absolute power, all traps were meaningless. With that, he too leaped from the helicopter, plunging toward the ground. Upon the arrival of all armed forces in the subterranean lair, a thorough search yielded no suspicious individuals, much to the bewilderment of the Stainless Steel Academy's president and the Grand President. Had Professor Jamie fled? Meanwhile, above ground, Lan Chi could not help but complain, "Why must we stand guard up here while they descend to apprehend someone?" Violet, having no alternative, could only placate her with a resigned reply, "Their rank is higher than ours, after all." The scene then shifts to a skyscraper, where the bespectacled man asks Brother Fei, "All of their forces have entered. What should we do next?" Brother Fei adjusts his glasses and states, "It's time to show them the greatness of my experiment. Execute Plan A." Simultaneously, in the underground lair, the Stainless Steel Academy's president approaches a cylindrical cultivation chamber and, driven by curiosity, peels off a note affixed to it. The note reads, "Behold the Zombie King. Open if you dare." Unable to resist such a challenge, the Stainless Steel Academy's president orders his subordinates to open the chamber. However, the Grand President interjects, "Our primary objective is capturing someone. Let's not complicate things." Realizing they were not taking the bait, the bespectacled man hastily reports to Brother Fei, they back down. Unperturbed, Brother Fei retrieves a detonator from his pocket and, with the press of a button, initiates a countdown on a remote bomb behind the cultivation chamber. Sensing imminent danger, the Grand President knows it's too late to evade. A powerful explosion erupts, engulfing all the soldiers in flames. Yet, to the president of the Stainless Steel Academy, this explosion barely registers as a scratch. Upon learning that something has emerged from the cultivation chamber, Brother Fei laughs maniacally, "The destruction of humanity begins today. Go forth, my greatest creation, and slaughter all humankind, even me if you must." Back in the underground lair, as the smoke clears, both the Stainless Steel Academy's president and the Grand President are utterly baffled by the sight before them. The so-called Zombie King is nothing more than a helpless zombie infant. The two leaders are dumbstruck by this absurd revelation. As the Stainless Steel Academy's president moves to investigate further, the Grand President warns him, "Be careful. The more harmless a creature appears, the more dangerous it can be." Undeterred, the president charges forward, slashing at the creature with his blade. The sea brother Fairly helpless zombie infant evades the attack with an eerie agility. The Grand President exclaims, "I knew it would come to this." He then orders a hasty retreat, shouting to the soldiers, "Withdraw quickly, or we shall all perish." As the soldiers scramble to escape, the Stainless Steel Academy's president, unwilling to admit defeat, scoffs at the notion of a tiny zombie posing any real threat. He launches another ferocious attack, cleaving the zombie in two. As a brother Fei victory, his triumph is short-lived, as the two halves of the zombie mutate into separate entities. Stunned, the president exclaims, "What kind of monster is this?" At that moment, the two independent zombie infants emit a series of strange utterances, and in another bizarre twist, fuse back together. At that moment, Professor Jamie had already fled to the rooftop. "Brother Fei, let's release the zombies while they're still unaware and make our escape amidst the chaos." With that, the bespectacled man unleashed all the zombies within the city. In just an instant, a horde of zombies rushed towards Lan Chi and her team. However, Lan Chi remained composed in the face of this onslaught. As her subordinate prepared to call for reinforcements, she stepped forward and said, "There's no need. Stand down." She then approached, removing the hairpin that held her hair in place. With a swift motion, the hairpin transformed into a sharp, gleaming sword. In that moment, Lan Chi wielded the sword with the grace and poise of a legendary heroine. With a whoosh sound, she had already kicked the zombie's chin with one swift motion. Successive thuds echoed as she sent every single one of the undead creatures soaring through the air. Utilizing the springiness of a nearby tree, Lan Chi leapt skyward. The vice president, who witnessed the scene, was astonished to see Lan Chi's lightning-fast swordsmanship. In just a few breaths, she landed back on the ground, while the airborne zombies were reduced to mere fragments. The vice president, who had been enjoying his lunch, was left dumbfounded as his plate was now adorned with a top-tier zombie sushi. With her arms crossed, Lan Chi scoffed, "These zombies barely served as a warm-up." Meanwhile, the bespectacled man on the rooftop fumed, frustrated that the newly released zombies were so easily dispatched. "If only that chainsaw-wielding zombie were still here, I'd make this meddlesome woman suffer." He proceeded to direct more zombies towards Lan Chi. However, at that moment, two peculiar figures emerged from the alleyway. Unexpectedly, it was Ah Go and Blackie who had arrived on the scene. Blackie approached a zombie and inquired, "Have you seen the zombie in this picture? The one with the chainsaw?" Before he could finish, the wanted poster in his hand was snatched away by the zombie. Speechless, Blackie couldn't help but lament the audacity of this feral creature. Ah Go stepped forward and asked, "If we can't find Varmint, will the boss beat us too?" Hearing this, Blackie broke out in a cold sweat, hastily reassuring himself, "We'll find him." Meanwhile, in the underground lair, the pacifier-sucking zombie reached out and exclaimed, "Come play with me." The two presidents exchanged bewildered glances, and the Stainless Steel Academy president drew his blade, slashing at the zombie only to have it dodge his every move. In a sudden burst of power, the president cleaved the zombie in two with a single stroke. Yet, astonishingly, the bisected creature bounced around before reassembling itself, seemingly unharmed. Enraged, the president challenged it, "Stop running and face me in a real battle if you dare." At this, the zombie removed its pacifier, and a bizarre transformation took place. The once diminutive creature now stood as a tall, alluring female zombie. The two presidents gaped in disbelief, wondering, "What on earth is this?" At that moment, the zombie suddenly addressed them, exclaiming, "What's the matter? Come play with me." However, for the president of the Stainless Steel Academy, the presence of a beautiful woman did not hinder the speed at which he drew his sword. Instantly, he unleashed a fierce double-edged slash towards the female zombie. But in the next second, he was dumbfounded, for his domineering strike was effortlessly caught by a simple lift of her hand. No matter how hard he exerted himself, the steel blade refused to advance any further. Witnessing this scene, the president of the Stainless Steel Academy realized he was no match for her and quickly turned to shout, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and help." Upon hearing this, the Grand President no longer hid, and with a booming sound, the mech number 1 made its dazzling appearance. Yet before he could even make a move, he was sent flying by the female zombie's inch punch. The terrifying force pierced straight through a large building, ultimately coincidentally landing in front of Blackie and Ah Go. Seeing the sudden appearance of this human, Go instinctively asked, "He seems to be on the verge of death. Should we save him?" Blackie hurriedly retorted, are you stupid? We're zombies. Just then, another deafening explosion erupted from the underground dungeon, followed by the Stainless Steel Academy president being sent flying like a cannonball. Violet and Lan Chi hurriedly approached, asking, what happened in the dungeon? Enduring the pain, the Stainless Steel Academy president raised his hand, pointing behind them, see for yourselves. Upon hearing this, the two women swiftly turned around, only to reveal astonished expressions upon recognizing the newcomer. For the alluring female zombie was now leisurely leaning against the railing, yawning, before casting a flirtatious glance at Lan Chi and Violet. Witnessing this bizarre scene, Violet instinctively felt this zombie was no ordinary being, while Lan Chi hastily drew her sword, declaring, we must cooperate and not let her escape. Yet, despite the combined pressure from the two presidents, the enchanting female zombie remained unflustered, even playfully beckoning them with her finger. Meanwhile, on the other side, Zombie and the others were leisurely barbecuing skewers. At this moment, the president of the Steel Blade Club picked up a cup of tea and obsequiously offered, President Zombie, please have some tea. However, before Zombie could even take a sip, a thunderous noise suddenly erupted from the far end of the street. The strange sound left Dawn momentarily bewildered, what's happening over there? Upon hearing this, Zombie promptly stood up and announced, let's go and see what's going on. Can you believe it? The once shapely and alluring female zombie has now transformed into a grotesque, 8-pack-bearing mutant minotaur. Just moments ago, Lan Chi and Violet had prepared to join forces against the female zombie, but instead of retreating, she brazenly charged at them. Lan Chi struck first, hurling her precious sword at the zombie. With a swish, it only managed to leave a small wound on her face. Witnessing this, Violet hastily drew her blade and charged as well. However, within the next second, she found herself kicked in the chin by the female zombie. The excruciating pain nearly caused Violet to lose consciousness. The female zombie then spoke, your speed is decent, but your strength is sorely lacking. Infuriated by the remark, Violet performed a 360-degree spin in mid-air before delivering a powerful kick to the zombie's head. Despite the force of the blow, the female zombie remained unscathed. Sensing danger, Violet hastily retreated. As she did, Lan Chi charged forward, brandishing her sword. Countless sword energies swirled around the female zombie, instantly reducing the surrounding buildings to rubble. Yet, the zombie emerged from the onslaught completely unharmed. Meanwhile, the president of the Stainless Steel Academy, despite his own pain, managed to find a secluded spot. He quickly removed his pants and activated the machinery on his back. Soon after, the sound of whirring gears filled the air as he transformed into an armored knight. This was the Stainless Steel Academy's secret weapon, Steel Heart No. 1. The scene returned to Lan Chi and Violet, who continued their intense battle. However, as they prepared to launch their final attack, the female zombie suddenly extended a 2.5-meter long tongue and underwent a series of grotesque mutations. The sight left Lan Chi and Violet dumbfounded. What kind of creature was this? The female zombie slammed her palm into the ground, sending Lan Chi and Violet flying with the force of the ensuing shockwave. In the meantime, the once alluring female zombie had fully transformed into a bizarre, 8-pack-bearing mutant minotaur. Fortunately, the newly transformed president of the Stainless Steel Academy arrived to join the fight. The severely wounded Lan Chi and Violet shouted, retreat. You are no match for her. But the overconfident president ignored their warnings and arrogantly approached the mutant minotaur. Human, I hope you can withstand my attack. Very well, let's settle this with a single blow. No sooner had he spoken than the president and the minotaur zombie exchanged blows. The impact of their fists colliding sent Lan Chi and Violet flying once again. The tremendous explosion caught the attention of Zombie not far away. As the smoke gradually cleared, all that remained of the Stainless Steel Academy president was a half-destroyed shell, while the Minotaur zombie appeared unharmed. Human, you have lost. Abandon your futile resistance. I am the greatest zombie king in this world, and your demise is inevitable. Little did the Minotaur zombie know, Zombie was rapidly approaching from a short distance away. Despite facing such a formidable adversary, Lan Chi and Violet never once wavered. However, in the face of absolute power, their efforts were ultimately futile. The Zombie King merely flicked his wrist, and the Stainless Steel Academy president's mech disintegrated instantly, while Lan Chi and Violet were flung into the sky. Fortunately, Zombie appeared in time to rescue them. But before they could react, the Zombie King commanded, "Attack. Devour them." At his command, countless zombies charged towards Lan Chi and her friends. Upon witnessing this, Zombie was filled with rage. He threw Lan Chi and Violet to the ground and yelled, "Are you all blind? Begone!" Hearing this, the zombies were dumbfounded, and in an instant, they ceased their attack. The Zombie King, puzzled, inquired, "Who are you?" Zombie strode through the horde and asked, "You call yourself the Zombie King, so what should I be called?" At his words, the countless zombies all prostrated before him. In no time, the entire horde was crushed beneath Zombie's feet. "Well, are you speechless at the sight of me?" he taunted. The Zombie King grinned, "Ah, a fellow creature." He then proposed, "Since there can only be one Zombie King, let's have a contest." With that, he fiercely punched Zombie in the face. But the terrifying blow was met with mockery from Zombie, who asked if the Zombie King had been skipping meals. Hearing this, the Zombie King seethed, but before he could react, Zombie's fist had already landed on him. In an instant, the powerful force sent the Zombie King flying tens of kilometers, eventually crashing into an aircraft carrier. Professor Jamie, watching the battle from a rooftop, was dumbstruck. A fearsome creature had emerged from nowhere. On the other side, the Zombie King laughed, "Interesting. At last, I've found a worthy opponent." He then plunged into the ocean and lifted a submarine weighing tens of thousands of tons into the sky. With a deafening explosion, Zombie was engulfed in dust. Meanwhile, atop a building, Blackie was administering emergency treatment to the president. Suddenly, Ah Go tapped his shoulder, "Look over there. I think I sense the great king's presence." As he spoke, a figure shot out from the center of the submarine. Zombie soared into the sky, and then flung a rope around the Zombie King's neck and yanked him violently. The next second, Zombie delivered a savage kick to the Zombie King's face, obliterating his features. The Zombie King was now thoroughly enraged. He charged to the ground, lifted the submarine once more, and swung it towards Zombie. With a thunderous boom, Zombie was blown thousands of kilometers away, landing on an aircraft carrier. Zombie's eyes turned cold. "Do you enjoy smashing things? Come on, give it a try if you dare." The Zombie King had not yet grasped the severity of Zombie's words. Meanwhile, upon witnessing the Zombie King's immense power, the Grand President urgently advised, "We must evacuate. The creature Professor Jamie created isn't something your great king can handle." Before he could finish, Blackie scoffed, "Humans, pay close attention. There is no one in this world who can challenge the great king, not even a god. For the great king is invincible." As he spoke, Zombie suddenly appeared before the Zombie King, having teleported from the aircraft carrier. As the Zombie King marveled at Zombie's sudden increase in speed, Zombie's fist brutally slammed into his face. The terrifying force sent the Zombie King hurtling off the earth. Before the Zombie King could catch his breath, an aircraft carrier hurtled towards him at breakneck speed. With a resounding crash, the Zombie King was viciously embedded into the moon's surface. At this moment, Dawn and the others who were spectating from the sidelines were utterly dumbfounded. However, just then, the Zombie King on the moon abruptly exerted its strength. In the next instant, the aircraft carrier rigidly soared toward Earth. Accompanying it was the Zombie King's unbridled fury. Witnessing this spectacle, Zombie leaped into action without hesitation. With a resounding bang, he sped rapidly in pursuit of the Zombie King. Unexpectedly, the Zombie King suddenly burrowed into the interior of the aircraft carrier. It wasted no time wreaking havoc upon the nuclear reactor apparatus. Just as Zombie reached the carrier, a deafening explosion reverberated throughout the entire continent. Dawn and the others, upon seeing this, cried out for help. Yet, as the mushroom cloud gradually dissipated in the sky, Zombie miraculously alighted unscathed upon the battleship. He then began to mockingly utter, "Such damage is hardly enough to even tickle me." Upon hearing this, the Zombie King was rendered utterly speechless. Consequently, it began to amass all its strength once more. In the next second, its arms rapidly elongated as they lunged toward Zombie. In a mere instant, Zombie was blasted onto the top of a skyscraper. The Zombie King then proposed, "Since neither of us can best the other, why not join forces to annihilate the world?" Meanwhile, the Grand President, upon witnessing the Zombie King's terrifying power, began to advise, "We should flee while we can. I know your king is formidable after transforming, but continuing to battle like this is futile." However, before he could finish speaking, Blackie interrupted him, stating, "Who said our king can only transform once?" Upon hearing this, the Grand President's face was a picture of astonishment, as he had not anticipated that Zombie possessed a third form.